The town of Elderwood didn't show up on most maps, and those who found it usually did so by accident or destiny. Tucked between gentle hills and sleepy roads, it was the kind of place where time seemed to rest. People said the air was different there, lighter somehow, softer, like it had nothing to prove. At the edge of town stood an old tailor shop with gold lettering that read, "Sewn and spoken, clothier of character." It hadn't sold clothes in years. Inside, an elderly man with silver hair and steady hands still worked each day, not with thread and needle, but with words. His name was Jonas. Most people in Elderwood called him the Tailor of Tongues. No one quite knew how he earned the nickname, but if you sat with him long enough, you'd understand. One misty morning, a young man named Caleb wandered into Elderwood, dusty boots and all. He wasn't running from anything in particular, just from everything in general. His dreams were fractured, his confidence unraveling, and every word he spoke seemed to echo doubt. He passed the tailor shop twice before curiosity pulled him in. Jonas looked up from behind the counter. "Welcome. Looking for a new suit?" Caleb blinked. I don't have the money for anything fancy." "Ah," Jonas said, standing slowly. "Good. I don't sell fancy things, only fitting ones." Caleb nodded slowly, unsure whether the old man was joking. "You seem heavy," Jonas said kindly. "Not your backpack, your voice." "My voice?" Jonas pointed to a worn stool. "Sit. Let me take a measurement. What kind of shop is this? The kind that fixes what people say before it ruins what they live." Jonas began pulling out slips of parchment from a small wooden box labeled Confessions. Each one had a sentence written in neat script. "I'll never amount to anything. I'm just not good with people. Everything I touch falls apart. Recognize any of these?" Caleb stared. "I say stuff like that all the time." "Most people do," Jonas replied. "They curse themselves without realizing it. They wear words like old coats, heavy ones, ragged ones, then wonder why they feel so worn down. I guess I never really thought about it. That's how you get hung by your own tongue." Caleb came back the next day, and the next. Jonas never asked why. He simply greeted him with a new question each time. "What did you say about yourself today?" Sometimes Caleb answered truthfully. Other times he caught himself mid-sentence and laughed. "I almost said I was unlucky," he once admitted. "But then I remembered what you told me." "Good. The first step is hearing what comes out of your own mouth. You said words are like seeds." "They are," Jonas said, "and the soil is your life. Speak fear and you grow weeds. Speak faith and you grow forests." One afternoon, Caleb confessed something deeper. "I don't know if I believe it works. I've said positive things before, but nothing really changed." Jonas walked to a shelf filled with old journals and pulled one down. "Years ago," he said, "I spoke death over everything. My health, my marriage, my business. I used to joke that I was a walking disaster, and I became one. I wasn't cursed. I was just careless with what I kept repeating." "What changed?" "I lost everything," Jonas said quietly. "And when I hit bottom, a woman handed me a tiny book. Hung by your tongue. That's a strange title. Truth often wears strange clothes. But the message was simple. I'd been poisoning myself with my own voice." Caleb started listening more closely, not just to Jonas, but to the people around him. He noticed how often people said things like, "I'll never catch a break," or "I'm just not the type to succeed." It was like they were caging themselves with invisible bars. Slowly, his own voice began to change. He stopped saying, "I can't." He started saying, "I'm learning to." He quit saying, "I always mess this up." He started saying, "I'm getting better every time." It wasn't magic, but it was powerful, like shifting the wind with the smallest of sails. One morning, Caleb arrived carrying a notebook filled with affirmations. "I've been writing things down, stuff I want to become." Jonas beamed. "Excellent. Now say them aloud." Caleb read a few. His voice trembled at first, but then it steadied. "I speak peace over my day. I walk with favor. I have purpose." "Good," Jonas said. "Now say them like you mean them." So he did. Louder, clearer, firmer. Jonas clapped softly. "There it is. Now your words are beginning to wear you." Weeks passed. Caleb found work at the town cafe. He smiled more. People noticed. "You've got a way about you," the owner said one morning. "Brightens the place." Later, Caleb told Jonas, She said I light up the cafe. Jonas chuckled. Told you, words become clothes, and now you wear light. But what happens when I mess up again? When I get discouraged? You will, Jonas said. But don't speak it over your future. Describe what you want, not what you fear. That's hard. That's powerful. There came a day when Caleb walked into the shop with his shoulders squared, his tone strong. I've been helping people catch their words. A girl in town said she was too broken to fix, and I told her, that's not your story unless you keep reading from it. She cried, then she smiled. Jonas placed a hand on his shoulder. You've become what you speak. Sometimes I wonder if I'm faking it. Jonas handed him a mirror. Look at your eyes. Are they clearer than when you came here? Caleb nodded. Does your chest feel lighter? He nodded again. Then you're not faking it. You're finally wearing truth. One evening, a traveler came through town, young, anxious, quick-tongued. He sat at the cafe and muttered under his breath, I'm such a screw-up. Why do I even bother? Caleb heard it. Without thinking, he walked over. Hey, don't wear that lie another day. The young man looked up, startled. What? I used to say stuff like that, until someone showed me how dangerous it was. And so Caleb began to pass on what Jonas had taught him. Gently, kindly, with purpose. That night, the traveler left a note behind. Thanks. That one sentence you spoke gave me the strength to try again. On the day Jonas handed Caleb the shop key, he said, I'm going away for a while. It's time to let others speak life. But this is your place. No, Jonas smiled. It was always a place for words. And now you carry the right ones. He paused, then said, there are two kinds of people in the world, Caleb. Those who live by faith and those who die by fear. The difference isn't fate, it's what they choose to say when no one else is listening. Caleb hugged him for the first time. You changed my life. No, Jonas said softly. You changed your words. That's what changed your life. Years later, the tailor shop remained. It sold no fabric, but it fitted thousands with better words. Behind the counter stood a young man with a steady voice, a gentle heart, and a sign above the doorway that read, Speak only what you're willing to live in. People still wandered into Elderwood, broken, burdened, unsure why they came, but they left a little lighter, because someone told them, your life follows your words, so speak as if it's already becoming true. And when they asked if it really worked, Caleb smiled and said, I'm living proof.